Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Coach Deborah Smith's Build Your Best Life and Conversation with the Guys. We are out here on a Thursday evening, and we got a great topic for everyone, to enjoy and to listen to. It's a very important and sensitive subject that we must speak on. And before we go any further, or I tell you what the topic is, I'm gonna go ahead and introduce, the three guys that's here tonight. That's going to be doing a conversation and letting us know the rundown of what we need to know when it comes to the topic that we're going to discuss. And we have Elder Dan Smith, Elder Joseph Levette, and my man, Coach Ricardo Miller. How y'all doing tonight, gentlemen?
Doing great.
Doing good.
Doing wonderful.
Okay, yeah, I hope everybody is, staying blessed and staying safe. We got this hurricane going on, and I know they're down in those parts, in Florida. You don't know really what's going on in Dallas. I don't know if it's affecting Dallas or not. Is it, Coach Ricardo?
Now, we don't do hurricanes down these parts, This is towns of cowboys. We don't do hurricane in Dallas.
Here we go. See, he talking about some cow. Well, I'm not in Florida. I'm up here in Washington with the Commanders, and we haven't gotten any of that either. So, ditto, when it comes to that. But, going into the subject tonight, before we go into that subject, I'll let each one of these gentlemen tell you a little bit about themselves, especially for the first time people that's probably tuning in this evening. And I'm going to start off with Elder Dan Smith.
Okay, he keep calling me Elder. Is that something I'm finna the name I'm finna? I lost the deacon now, huh?
Dan Smith. Why not get him? You know what, Elder Levette? I'm getting things mixed up. So it is Deacon Dan Smith. Now I got a question for both of y'all since we're on subject right there. Which one is the highest, deacon or elder, or is it about the same?
Well, there's two officers to a church, and that's the pastor and the deacon. So I'm gonna say the elders is gonna come a little down lower.
Yeah, elders is a ministry. Elders is more of the ministry or helps under the pastor.
All right, I stand to be corrected. I am so sorry, Deacon Dan Smith. You can start us off.
Good evening. My name is Dan Smith Jr. I'm here right now in the windy city of Jacksonville, Florida. We have a hurricane that's passing us, but everything is well with us. I'm a retired law enforcement for 40 years. I'm the husband of Coach Deborah D. Smith. We have 4 children, 3 boys and 1 girl. We have 6 grands. Like I said, I'm a deacon. I'm the chairman of the deacon board at the church. And I just enjoy working with church members, doing things at the church, doing things at home. Plus, I have 2 different companies, a handyman service and a lawn service, which keep me quite busy. So I'm ready for the night. Let's go Jaguars.
Good stuff. Okay, here we go. Good stuff. Okay, Elder Joseph Levette.
Yeah. Good evening, my brothers and all of it, and everyone else that's watching. Of course, I'm Joseph Levette. I'm also here in the now windy, breezy city of Jacksonville. Usually sunny, but it's windy and breezy and rainy lately, the last couple of days. But so I'm 32-year retired military, Army. Go Army. I'm married to the lovely Tony Levette, my wife for life. We have 4 incredible children. We have 1 son and 3 daughters, and we have 9 grandchildren. Praise the Lord. And let's see, and also I'm currently a chaplain for a hospice company. And I love doing that work. I love people. I love God. Like kind of like Deacon Dan. I love God's people. I love being a help to people. So that's one of the reasons I became a chaplain. I love it, and I'm looking forward to the night as well. I think this is a good hot topic.
Okay, that's good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, Coach Ricardo Miller.
I want to get on Dr. Kevin, let him know I'm a pastor too, Pastor. Let's get him out. We got some men of God, all of the men of God.
Man, I'm slipping. I am slipping. I'm sorry. So I'm gonna have to call you Pastor Coach Ricardo Miller next time.
I'm messing with you, man. I'm messing with you. I love you, sir. But no, I'm in ministry as well. I'm on staff at a great church here in the Dallas area. I'm the operation and development pastor. Almost plays the role like that of an executive pastor, and so it's really more the functioning and operation of the day-to-day affairs of the church is really my specialty. But outside of that, I am the president and founder of Effective Living. I'm also a board member for Build Your Best Life, and I'm super excited about tonight's topic. My beautiful wife Karen is always watching, and we have 2 kids. We have a 20-year-old, RJ is in college, and we have an 11-year-old who's in 6th grade. And so God has been good to us, and Texas is amazing, and Cowboys is going all the way this year.
Okay, I'll let you get that one off. Okay, I am Coach Dr. Kevin Wilbon Sr. I've been an athletic coach for sports for 35 years. I am retired military, 24 years retired. I'm an author, educator, mentor, motivational speaker. I've been married for 26 years to my lovely wife, Chris. I have 3 sons, Kevin Jr., Kevin Christopher, and then I have Christian Kevin, who's a up-and-coming high school track star and aspiring to be actor. So he's definitely out there, and hopefully things will go his way and he'll come on and sing. But you'll definitely hear about him in track because he's like one of the top runners in the country. So that's what's going on with me. And I just, I'm ready for this topic as well. And I'm going to go ahead and put it out there and we go ahead and get into it. And the topic for tonight is the cost of being hot-tempered. The cost of being hot-tempered. A very important subject because this resonates, not only with the youth, but for grown people as well. And for youth to see, violence and stuff like that, these are some of the things that resonates, and it causes problems. And we need to talk about that, gentlemen. And the first thing that I want to bring up is that, they say that there's usually a cause for emotions that one portrays. What are some of the traits that may cause a man to be consistently angry? And we're going to start off with Pastor Coach Ricardo Miller.
Man, how I know you was? I know you was gonna pick me. It's like, now that's a great question. What I think insecurities. I think insecurities puts a trigger on a person to respond inappropriately. I think a lot of times men struggle, young boys, teenagers struggle with insecurity to the point where they're defensive, and don't go there. Don't call me names. Don't laugh at me. Don't talk down to me. Don't talk. It's just so many things fall under the window of insecurity. In addition, I think trying to make a point, trying to prove a point sometimes also could be one of the big reasons. A lot of times, what would they think of me? I let him talk to me like that. What would they think of me if I let them talk? And so I think that is another one. But at the end of the day, it is prevalent. It's a major issue, and I think tonight's talk is it's very, very appropriate. So,
okay, all right. What about you, Deacon Dan? What do you think about that? What are some of the traits that can cause a man to be consistently angry?
Well, I agree with Pastor Coach Ricardo. Along with insecurity, I look at it a person that like that, they don't love themselves. Just like we hear on a Saturday morning, they don't, these guys don't love themselves. And then that point, when they don't love themselves, they don't care about nobody else.
Yeah.
So, and then also, financial reasons. They're not financially where they like to be when they see others are doing well and they're not doing well. So, this is where the hot temper come in. I think that's one of the, that's what I think. Integrity, finance, and they don't love themselves or nobody else.
Okay. All right, Elder Levette.
Yeah, I say for me, to go along with what these gentlemen has brought up, I would say one of the key things is a father missing from the home in their growing up life. A lot of times when they don't have no father in the home, one, they're angry because they don't have a father in the home. They get picked on because they don't have a. I mean, especially it's very prevalent if you live in the projects. I know from being raised in the projects, I used to see that all the time. Whereas I had my father in the home, but a lot of kids around there didn't have their fathers. And sometimes it was showing their anger. They don't have their father to come and watch they football game or they track meet. So that starts and develops a point of anger, and it just continues on in life. And to go along with that, I would say mistreatment and opportunities. A lot of times when they get looked over all the time and they feel like they working hard on the job, or even in school or whatever, they working hard to make the football team and they don't make it. And then, that builds an anger in them. Like I can't never make it on that. So it's like, I'm getting mistreated in opportunities in life. So that builds a particular anger in me that I can't get rid of. So those would be kind of the two things I look at.
Okay. All three of you made a great point. All of it is valid and is definitely true. And I feel like what makes a man consistently angry is what he's going through in his life, especially if it's a downward spiral. He could be jobless. He could just had a divorce. He could have been neglected or abused as a youngster or anything like that. And that hot-tempered carried on through his life with him. And, he have no empathy for others and stuff like that. So those are some of the traits that I actually think that is part of a person being hot-tempered. So we're going to move on to the next question. And the next question is this. Okay, the word of God makes it clear that makes no friendship without an angry man, and with a furious man do not go, lest you learn his ways and set a snare for your soul. And that's in Proverbs chapter 22, verses 24, 25, in the New King James Version. New King James Version. So what is the most significant price a man pays for losing his temper? What is the most significant price a man pays for losing his temper? We're going to start with you, Elder Levette.
Okay, yeah, and to go along, I said in the previous question, I said mistreatment of opportunities. But when you, whenever you lose your temper, then you miss opportunities. You will miss a lot of opportunities when you lose your temper, because you can be on a job, you working really good on that job, and they see you working hard, and they be about ready to promote you. But because you get into it with another supervisor and lose your temper, you done lost your position to be promoted in. So I think that missed opportunities is one cause. And then I'll say another thing is jail, which can lead to, a lifetime of mistakes. It's like a lifetime of mistakes. Whenever you go to jail, let's say for murder, you going for life. So it's a lifetime of mistakes that you're going to be sitting there in jail because of your temper.
Okay, Coach Pastor Miller.
Yeah, I think I'll agree with Elder. I would say that freedom element, that freedom element, the freedom to be able to do life after you find yourself arrested and because you were hot-tempered and you decided to hit somebody in the head and they die. You know what I'm saying? You decide to run your car over somebody because of road rage. You decide, you decide to, one, that's so freedom. Another one I would add to that is just outright, people lose respect for you. Mm-hmm. I think people lose respect. Oh my goodness, you can't deal with him. He's not a man to be respected because he has not learned how to control his temper. I mean, it's a learned behavior. You have to decide that to coexist with other people, you're going to have to learn how to get along with other people. And getting along with other people, you have to know that you're not going to agree with everyone, but you still, you ought to be able to get to that point where you realize, hey, let's agree to disagree. Let's agree to disagree. But we live in an era where hot-temperedness is, no, my point is right, and you are wrong, and if you're wrong, I can pick up something and I hit you with it, or pull out a gun and shoot you with it, or just use my car and run it over. And then, unfortunately, I find myself losing my freedom. I find myself losing my reputation as a respectable person to deal with. And it's just, it just keeps going downhill from there.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely a great point. Okay, Deacon Dan Smith.
Well, one of the things I think is relationships. I mean, you can lose that with a hot temper. I mean, if you have a relationship with your fiance or a young lady, and then you bring out this, this hot temper on her, you can lose that. Yeah. But I think one of the key ingredients in doing my scope of work, you can lose your life.
Yeah. Wow.
Because I've seen and then I find out why some guys and take the guys out, kill the guy because, hey man, this guy got a temper. He gonna be mad. He gonna get a bat. He gonna beat you or whatever. So you come, the guy that comes up in front of him, here he come. Here's his temper. The temper pops out. He ready to get a bat or whatever, and then somebody take his life. But that's one of the things you can lose. Like I agree with Pastor Coach Ricardo and Elder Vet. Incarceration, but incarceration, but you can lose your life.
Yeah. Yeah. So ultimately, the ultimate price that you pay if you lose your temper or being hot-tempered is either jail or death. That's the ultimate prices that you have to pay, along with everything else that you gentlemen just conveyed, and that is really true, and it's been seen over and over, not just with the regular people of the world, but we're talking about people in high-profile places like sports and stuff like that. We see this all the time, and a lot of time it's because of abuse that people lose their lives and hot-tempered, people. So, yeah, that's definitely true. So I'm going to go on to the next question, and it says, when men often lose it, someone says boys will be boys. But is it ever acceptable for a man to frighten or harm someone because they are angry? Okay, Pastor Coach Smith, Miller.
With everyone watching this, and I want us to let's remember we got guys watching this today, and this is such a major question because is it ever okay? Is it ever boys will be boys? No, boys ought not be boys. Boys need to learn how to be men. Boys need to learn how to be men. In addition, boys need to learn how to grow into be kings and royal priests and distinguish in their behavior. So on this Saturday morning that I know you're watching, because you're watching this on a Saturday morning, on this Saturday morning that you're watching this, I want to remind you that it's never okay to go ahead and lose your temper to a degree that you're prepared to harm somebody. It's never okay. Now, here's the deal. Now, by law, there is the self-defense window, right? Now, if you study the law sufficiently, I still think even when you're using self-defense, it shouldn't be under the window of losing your temper, though. I still think there's a level of discipline and there's a level of proper reasoning. If any harm has to come from you on someone else, but at the end of the day, you withdraw. Just lately, a gentleman was knocked down in my office parking lot and he got up and pulled out a gun in an attempt to shoot the guy. Now here's the deal. Embarrassment does not qualify you, give you the rights. Shame, anger, frustration does not approve you pulling out a gun to pull out the trigger. Right. Yes, you might be embarrassed. Yes, you may be shame. Yes, as a matter of fact, you may be being. Watch this. What I learned in that situation, because he punched you, your life wasn't threatened, not because of a punch. Had a guy slap you, your life is still not being threatened because of a slap. The question is, you might need to match the energy, but you can't pull out a gun for somebody who slap you. And I know I'm a man too. I don't want nobody to hit me. But at the end of the day, proper reasoning must take place. And I think it's important for mothers to teach their sons, think before you act. I think it's important for fathers to teach their sons, think before you act. And there is a reason why in civilized societies there's rules of engagement. Rules of engagement. I think one of these days we may want to talk about that. Rules of engagement as to the do's and don'ts, as to how you get to this point. Respectfully and honorably. How do I get to this point and keep it fair?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because a slap is not a bullet going into you. You know, you live to see another day. You get slapped. You slap somebody back, you both just be having that little sting on the face or whatever, but you're still here and alive to see the next day. So yes, exactly, that's definitely true. Okay, Deacon Dan.
Well, I'm agree with both what Pastor Coach Miller says. That's a no-no. Boys be boys. That's a no-no. Like you said, men. The boys got to grow up. They got to be men. And you always have different situation that comes up. I know a situation where, going back to what Coach Miller said, where the guy, his hands were lethal weapons.
Wow. Yeah.
And the reason why I say that, he was a certified 3rd degree black belt karate expert, and everybody knew it. Mm. So the guy came up and slapped him. Mm. You know?
Yeah. Wow.
So he got in his stance, and the guy pulled a gun out.
Wow.
Okay. The only guy who knows just the karate and all this. Well, being that, you know, it's just like in the academy, we were taught how to take a gun away from somebody. But this guy, you know, this karate guy immediately kicked the gun out of the man's hand. It's over.
Yep.
You know? It's over. So luckily, the only thing really saved him was had enough guys around to talk him out of it, to prevent him from hitting the guy anymore. Right. So, but, you know, basically what I'm saying is they got to grow up. You don't know who you're coming against. Yeah. So you don't want to get to that point if we can help it. You know.
Right.
You know, just like I used to tell my officers, hey, I could talk a guy, take him to talk him out off his shirt. I mean, he can get angry, but I'll talk him down in a minute. So, but, you know, that's not always true. You know, that's not always true. But, you know, I agree. I don't have no disagreement. There's a lot of actions or different things that should be done, but men got to be men. And they got to learn what's right, what's wrong.
Exactly. And I would add to that boys will be boys phrase. That's when they're kids.
Right.
You know, usually boys will be boys when they tackle people, when they grab on people, and when they play fighting and stuff like that. And they're not doing other things that the little girls are doing. So when, you know, I know when, you know, it was a lot of us, a lot of boys in my family. We had one girl and the rest was guys. And we would go places and stuff like that and act up. You know, people would be like, you know, leave them alone. The boys going to be boys. Boys will be boys. Right. That's the only time, you know, it's okay, you know, when you're that young. But when you become of age, when you get to that point where, you know, you can pay for the wrong things that you're doing, then that's when it's time to become a man. Man up and be a man. So I agree with all three of you when it comes to, boys will be boys, not no hot-tempered, problems like that. Because like Coach Pastor Miller said, we could be here one day, and just because of your temper, going out of whack, you could be gone the next. So, it's not worth that. So, people need to actually work on their tempers and, just calm down because it's not that serious, and if it gets to that point where it's that serious, you get law enforcement involved, but you don't take, things into your own hands, because when you do that, that's when someone ends up dead. So, for people that's watching this, please listen to the message that's being said, because it is a very, very important subject, and we're losing a lot of our young, especially our young men, our black men. We're losing a lot of men, and it's because of a temper is being flared, over something very, very, simple, something that could just either be talked about or just walked away. Okay, for the next question, it'll be, how can a simple mistake turn deadly because someone cannot control their emotions? That's pretty much like what we just finished actually talking about. But if anybody wants to elaborate a little bit more on that, for that question, they can go ahead and do that, and we'll start with Elder Levette. If you want to elaborate a little bit more about, when you can't control your emotions, and what kind of simple mistake that it'll lead to.
Yeah, one thing I was thinking about, and kind of to go with the last question, the Bible talks about, in the book of Galatians, it talks about losing self-control and having some humility and having self-control. And you said it best, Doc, when you said that boys would be boys thing as a young age. That's good. But when you become a man, you at that point, you ought about have learned some humility, and you should have learned some self-control, because those are the two things. If you have humility and you have self-control, it'll get you out of almost any situation. If you have those two things down packed, you know the ins and outs of, okay, I'm not letting them take me there. You feel that, hey, it's better to be a man to walk away than to be a man that got to be carried away, as my grandfather used to say. So I would say that, and then I would say, if you think about it, it takes a mere 3 seconds to react from a place of anger. 3 seconds, which means quick out, pull a gun, quick out, knife, stab somebody. Takes 3 seconds to do that from an angry thought. So if we don't capture the thought first, we got to control the thought. And once we can control the thought, now we can better manage the situation. Because I may have the gun, but then I'll be like, no, this ain't worth that. It ain't worth it. So that's kind of my take on that.
Okay. Coach Pastor Miller.
Jumping in on that, I can remember being a kid in high school. I was hot tempered. I was hot tempered, man. It was terrible.
You was hot tempered, and you was a part-time bully on Tuesdays, huh?
That's what that's where the hot temper came from too. Because and unfortunately, let's talk to moms and dads. A lot of times we don't monitor the behavior of what motivates group activities in our streets. Mm-hmm. And the streets where I came up from, the shorter your temper was, hot-tempered guys, they rose faster in the gang because they were like, oh, you don't want to mess with him. Anything right. And everything he wants to fight. And so that's where you gain your rep. And don't let if every time you win, you're gaining medals. Right. So and so it doesn't work for you with hot temper if you're going to lose, right? On the streets. And so on the streets, hot temper worked for guys who were in gangs. And it was one of those things that was a part of my past. And so looking back now, and I'm talking to mothers and I'm talking to fathers who are listening here on this Build Your Best Life platform, that you have to know the consequences of a hot temper. You know, and the reality of it is those seconds that was spoken about just now you could have the potential to be a game changer in the world. I mean, a true difference maker. But if you allow your temper to govern you, you can limit yourself from ever being the person you were created to be.
Yeah.
Not only can hot temper cause you to find yourself in prison, but it can cause you to hurt your children. You know, I mean, literally. I mean, sometimes hot temper could cause you to say something verbally that can scar a child. Come on. I mean,
Yeah.
that after it is said, it just can't be taken back. It's because I'm gonna always say what I gotta say. Well, you keep always gotta say what you gotta say. You could lose your wife, you can ruin your kids, you could lose your job, you could just really find yourself in a bad place. And so I think not only do we need to help young men to gain better control on the temper, to simply express themselves as to whatever they want to express, no matter what the consequences is, only to find themselves regretting. And regret is a sorry place to live.
Yep, you're exactly right. And the thing about that, what you just finished conveying, is that just a short period of time can be a lifetime of regret, a lifetime of pain, a lifetime of people remembering things that you say. Because, I mean, let's just face it, whenever we're mad, sometimes we fly off the handle and say some things that we really, really don't mean, but we say it to be mean. And I'm not saying us four here, I'm just saying people in general, and you can't take it back. And those things are some things that stays with people for the rest of their lives, and they'll remember that, and it will scar them, especially if you're talking to a lot of sensitive people, females for one, and then you're talking to kids. My thing is, when you have that hot temper, a lot of times you need to go ahead and just take a walk. And I know it's easier said than done, but when you get to that point when your heart start palpitating and you start getting that wrinkle in your head and the headache start to come on, you need to leave out the house. Just go. And I'd rather get jumped on for leaving the house than to be jumped on for jumping on somebody. So my thing is, I'd rather take that walk, take that drive and calm down and come back. And, go ahead, Coach. Go ahead.
I'm going to throw out a question to you guys. What do you say to that mother who's watching right now on this Saturday morning? She got a hot-tempered son in that room. He slams the door, and there is no man around right now. But there's a lot of single women. My mama was one of those women who raised boys. She had a son like myself, and my mama throw something at you. But nowadays the rules of engagement doesn't allow for you to throw something at them. So I'm interested in hearing what advice would you give to that person, because we want to answer the needs of those who say, this is the plot that I've dealt with in life. What do you guys say? I would throw that question in there.
Okay, let me answer that one first, then we'll go around to the other gentleman. I would say this. I would say if you have that young man that's slamming the doors in the whole 9 yards, don't follow him. Don't antagonize. Don't make it worse. Because when you do that, that's when temperatures really start rising and things get out of hand. I will let him go ahead and cool off or do whatever he's going to do. But if he keeps slamming the door and, going crazy, throwing things like that, then you get on the phone and you call one of your relatives, call your brother, call his uncle, or call somebody like that and have them come over and deal with him. And, hopefully that will calm down things, because I don't think by calling the law will really, really help, because I think it would make things worse. But I would say, as a single mom, that's what I would do. I would call someone that I know that can probably, come and do that. Go ahead.
Dr. Kevin, I'm throwing this at you. I'm pushing this in there because I'm helping somebody today. Here's the deal. Real situation. 14-year-old young man, mother came, took the phone out of his hand, right? And said, you're not getting phone taken away from you. No man in the house. She just jumped in the car and pulled out. She came back home. He grabbed the TV off the wall and tore it down and broke up the furniture and had a tantrum moment, destroying roughly the house. Recorded it and says, I don't want to call the cops. I don't want to call anybody, but pray for me. Real scenario. I'm listening. I'm talking to three men. There's four of us here. And that home didn't have any male in it. What do you say to women who are dealing with uncontrollable boys who, and I do agree with a lot of what you just said, Dr. Kevin. A lot of times we just really need to bring those uncles in and those, ministers or, what I'm saying, close family friends. But anybody else have anything else to say? What would you say?
I would say you got to teach that young man self-discipline. Now, you have to be careful with, I'm going to give you a scenario of what happened, now a real scenario after this. You have to be careful how you handle that situation. You say you treat it with a fine-tooth comb.
Yeah.
That's how you have to handle that situation. But you got some mothers that if the boy is scared of the parent, then you don't have much problem, or the mother. If he ain't scared of it, he think he's tougher than she is, then you got a problem.
Yeah, I agree.
Like you say, you got to get some help from a family member, somebody that he'll listen to, someone that he will agree with. Now, you talking about a kid that slammed stuff down and came home like that.
That's a little different.
Let me tell you about a young man. I think he was like 19. I'm sure the vet remember this. He cut his mother's head off.
Wow.
Went to church with blood all on him. He was a drummer at another church with blood all on him. Went in and started playing the drums. And the pastor having to see the blood and all that on, they call the police. So he cut her head off because she made him mad. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is what I'm saying. You have to thread,
You know what? And I'm going to, answer, throw a little bit more out there. When it comes to that type of aggression and that type of behavior, then you have no choice but to call the authorities, because you don't know what this kid's mind is. You don't know if he snapped. And if he snapped, like Deacon Dan said, you could be in, your life could be in danger. And if your life is in danger, you're going to wish that you would have called the authorities and not try to get in touch with his uncles or, the ministry or something like that, because, at the heat of the moment, anything can happen. I mean, if you look at the news, it's always happening. You got kids killing their parents left and right. Right. So, when it comes to, what you just mentioned, Pastor Miller, then when it's a rage like that, you got to do what's best for you. And I would say get out of that house if you can first. If you can get out of that house, if they're going crazy like that. If you get out of the house, then by all means, call the police. Call the police. I mean, that's something that's going to save your life. That's something you can't really be too much worried about him, because the thing is, you don't know what he's going to do to you.
What do you say? I had years ago, I had a minor. I've said minor. It was 15-year-old staying with me, and I was trying to help somebody out, and I asked him he had to come stay with me, and behold, I didn't know he was on drugs. Wow. And so I smelled the drugs on him, and I went to bed that night locking my room door, and I'm like, I gotta lock my own room door in my house.
Right. No.
I gotta lock my own room door in the house. The next day I said, hey man, I'm gonna have to call the people. You gonna have to go. Yeah. Because if fear has gotten to me to a degree, and I'm talking to somebody who's watching today, you're watching, you're living in a place of fear to where, you have someone in your home to which you cannot trust. It's going to bed at night because of their temper, because of their hot-temperedness. You're going to need to get help at the highest level.
That's right.
What you guys say?
I Well, I think to go along with all of that, what you guys have said, even I totally agree with the uncle thing. I've been in that situation with one of my sisters, and her kid with her boys. You know, anytime they would get in something when she was a single mother at that time, she'll call one of us. But one thing I want to throw a caution to the wind, and that is that call an uncle who's healthy.
Yeah.
Don't call your drunk brother Eddie, because he gonna come over there and make the situation worse. Because he gonna come over there and bow up. And also, you want to call somebody you know that's got a calm head that can come over and actually try and talk some sense into them. See what's going on with them. Because what I used to do with my nephews, if my sister called me, I go over there and I get them. Come on, let's go for a ride. Let's go get something to eat. Because if you put them in the right place, you know, when we go there, because they always want to eat. So I say, come on, let's go eat. What you want? I take them somewhere where they want to go eat. Now sit down and we talk about it. By the end of that night, we done talked through it, came to a good resolution. And a lot of times when we do that as men, that kid, my nephew would walk in their house if he done, blabbed off at his mom or something. He'll walk in there and say, "Mom, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. I just got angry. I was mad about this or that. Something happened in school. This happened, whatever." If we just make sure that I say to the mothers, as Coach Ricardo was saying, I'm saying this to the mothers on this Saturday morning. If you have that uncle, that brother or cousin or whoever you call, make sure that they head on straight. Make sure it's somebody who's gonna help the situation and not hurt it, make it even worse.
Most definitely.
And I'd like to just add one more thing to that. If you bring that kid up, you train them up early. Don't give that kid everything he wants.
Come on, right?
I mean, hey, they be buying these $200 shoes and all this stuff. Don't give that kid everything. Bring him up respectfully. Let him earn what he deserves.
Make him work for it.
There you go. Make him work for it.
Deacon Dan, I said there's purpose in no. There's a purpose in no. And my son, I used to say to him, I said, no. He said, Dad, but you can afford it. I didn't say I can't afford it.
That's right.
I said no.
I just said no. I think no needs to be built into the planning process, because some kids never get no. And by the time you say no, they've been trained for only yes.
That's it.
Right.
And so you just need to program in some no's, just so the temperament and the spirit of the child can understand life is not all yes. And it's difficult to bend the tree while it's young. I mean, it's difficult to bend the tree while it's old.
Oh, right.
So you're supposed to bend the tree while it's young. And so start saying those no, and start putting those rules of engagement in place, so that like all of us have said at some point, they can now reference back to, okay, mom said no, and a no is no. Dad says no, but when behavior gets to the point, and it starts to show itself, Years ago, I was children's pastor at a church, and I was visiting, and the lady told me, I said, "How did your arm get like that?" She said, "My son, he was 11 smoking a cigarette. And I tried to take the cigarette away from him, and he grabbed me and he put the cigarette on my arm."
Wow.
I mean, but I remember they had to call us. He was taken from her because of his behavior. But here's the deal. At 11, that's what he was doing, smoking cigarettes and abusing his mother, who was a single mom. She was afraid of him, but it didn't start at cigarette.
Right.
It didn't start at abusing her by physically harming her. It started before that. And if you're watching, you got to nip that stuff early.
Right.
That's right.
Exactly right. It's no harm in saying no. I know I've got heard. I heard no all my life. And it's like, you got to earn what you want. And if you want it, you go out there and work. And if you got the money, and not only that, even when I had the money and I was able to pay for what I wanted, they still told me no, because they wanted me to be responsible with the money that I made. So The thing is, you can say no, even if they got the money to get what they want. And it really depends on what they want. So by you, training them up, like you said, that will be a good thing. And, as they get older, they'll understand later on in life and and maybe that will be with them when they have their kids or whatever, and they'll be able to, treat them the same way and train them up the same way. So yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. And I was guilty of it. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I wasn't. I used to give my kids everything that they wanted to. I always said, I'm gonna give them what I didn't get. I'm gonna spoil them, in the whole 9 yards. So I'm not gonna sit here and act like I wasn't that type of person. I knew Coach Ricardo probably was too. He's sitting there laughing. He probably was like that.
We all were.
Hey, I know, in all honesty, though, my son, to this day, he's like, man, my dad is an islander. So not being privileged, I still knew, to me, the whole philosophy about Cinderella, I think Cinderella, when they thought they was treating her wrong, they was actually training her to win.
That's right. You see what happened in the end?
My point is, I think like I call the black sheep of the family almost becomes the strongest person in the family, and so early on, I really realized that not allowing my son to have all of his way was going to help him along the way, and he claims now when he was with his friend, well, my dad is from the islands. He was always different. I wasn't always difficult. I just sort of made sure that. I think the passing it on to you a little bit. Listen, among my friends growing up, I was the least fortunate. I'm talking about the least fortunate by far. But here's the deal. They were the most privileged. And I saw every one of my friends who had their own rooms are almost crackheads right now in my neighborhood. I'm talking about every one of my friends who had their own rooms and basically parents could have had them in private school, and it was unfortunate. I was like, what's wrong with that picture? Something's wrong with that picture, that you're privileged, but you're messing up. What's going on there? And so I never gave my son the chance to overly glean under the privilege umbrella. I wanted to pull it back a little bit, and I was praying and hoping that it helped him. So got a little exception there for me. I wasn't good in every area, but that was one of them. If I had helped him in basketball, he probably could have gotten scholarships and so forth, but I horrible in that one.
Well, now that you mentioned that, now I spoil him when it comes to sports because I like him to look good, because I always said this as a coach, when you look good, you feel better and you play better. I always believed in that. And, so I spoil them in that way. But when it comes to little nonsense, those PS5 games that cost $80 for a game and something like that, then, I'm not, all, with that, So, it depends on what he wants, and what he needs, that I'll go ahead and go out there, and get that for him. So I'm going to go to the last question. And the last question is, does anger ever get to a level where professional help is needed? Okay, and we're going to start off with Elder Levette. Is there a place or a time where the level, of professional help is needed because of anger?
I say yes, but the way I say yes is, I think it comes down to someone, or particularly a man, who's a professional at being a man. Yeah. I don't always think professional services will always help, because one, they don't know that person, and I say this just truthfully and transparently, and I think most of you agree with me. If you have like a white guy trying to professionally help a young black man, he don't understand his culture. He don't understand his, some of that upbringing.
Right.
And I don't know how helpful he'll be in being able to get to him. Whereas I think the best professional help is Uncle John, because he can be a mentor. He's there and he can see him when he wants to. He around him more, And if he developed that relationship, that was something I was going to mention earlier, is that if we develop, like I have great relationship with all my nephews. When my sister when she was a single at the time, when she was a single mother, I had great relationships with them. So it was to the point they would come to me automatically, or they'll call me like, come and get me, because, I'm about to lose it. And that was the same with me and my brothers. They could call any one of my brothers, and they know we're going to come and we're going to get them. And we talk to them, and we try to lead. And then the main thing is we try to lead a life before them. We try to be that example, because they need an example to follow. So, I agree to professional help, but I don't know about sometimes some of the professional counseling angles, because some of them have problems themselves. So that's I'll leave it right there and let one of y'all pick it up from there.
Hey, spoken true like a real man. Because like you said, some of them, they need help. They're getting paid for a profession that they're in, and they may not, really know what's going on, with that person, although they're certified in that area to speak on it. But like you said, if they don't know the culture, they're not going to really know, how to help them. I would say, with church, God first. I always say God first anyway. And, if you have, if you're a church going family, talk to your pastor, talk to the minister, talk to someone that's in church that can maybe sit there and talk to your kid that that's really knee deep in church, that can be a mentor or whatever, or a family member, before you actually go out there and pay your money for this professional help that you're trying to seek. So that's where I go with that. What about you, Deacon Dan?
Well, I'll go both ways, yes and a no. I'll give you a prime example. My nephews, they respect me a whole lot. It's Uncle Dan. But their mother, which is would be great nephews, the mother is my niece, and she knows me. She called me Maniac Cop. So, the things I taught her, she instilled into her boys, but she don't have no problem. So I said, hey, there go that Maniac Mama. Because she really pushed the issue on them young men. They're big boys. They ain't no little boys. These are big boys. All of them 5'11", the 6 foot, probably weighing 225, 230. They're good sized fellows. So, but I always tell them, I say, look, your Uncle Dan will take you down before you take him down. So, this is all my training. That's it.
Don't get it twisted.
I try to get them there. When I was coming up, I teach them when I train my officer, you get them down first. Don't let them come up on you.
Down, chop them down.
Yeah, put them down.
That's it.
And put the fear in them. So, but then you got them their respect.
Right.
They'll come talk to you.
But you know what, Deacon Dan, a lot of times it's good for them to hear from other people anyway.
Right.
Someone in the family, because
True.
You can calm them, and I had this happen a lot, even with my nieces and my nephews. They may have problems at home, whatever. They'll call me or talk to me about it, and we'll sit and talk, and we'll get to the root of the problem in the whole 9 yards. And one thing I don't do, I'm not going to go against their mother. I'm not going to go against their father or anything like that. But I try to reason with them and try to figure out what the problem is with them. And, try to, let them know that, there's a lot of different resolutions that can be done, in a good way. It doesn't have to be in an angry way, for it to be done. But after, I talk to them and everything is calm and everything is good. Like I said, a lot of times they need to hear from another family member that's level-headed, that don't fly off the handle or whatever. So, yeah, I definitely agree with that. Okay, Pastor Miller, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with all of what you guys were saying just now. In addition, I want to reiterate this for those of you that are watching on this beautiful Saturday morning. Okay, I want you to grab a hold of this in your spirit. Write this down, mother, the father, whoever is watching right now. Someone is assigned to help you. But here's the deal: with knowing that someone is assigned to help you, you have to now become skilled in identifying who's assigned to help you.
All right.
Now, someone is assigned to help you. It can be that uncle who can relate. It may be a guidance counselor or a coach at a school that can relate. It can be that youth minister who can relate. But you have to do the work. I agree with Elder Levette in that it's not just a certified license such and such. Not just because you're a certified license such and such means that you can help me.
Right.
And so you have to, or you can help my child. And so a lot of times people are lazy and don't do the work, and they just basically just take the first thing that is their way. And what I'm saying is, when I say someone is assigned to help you, you want to do the work. You want to do the work. It's almost like having to have heart surgery. You don't want just somebody, well, I went to school to be a doctor. No, I don't want just a doctor. Okay. I want some, I don't want my heart to be the first heart you go into. Okay. I don't want to be the test dummy. I don't want my son to be the test dummy. I don't want the trial and error element to come about through my child being at your beck and call for you to utilize your learning practices with him or her. So I just think it's a matter of those who are watching understand when life throws you a curveball in that of having to deal with difficult conversations, situations, and energy that's beyond your control, someone is assigned to help you. So one of my prayers every day, I ask God, Lord, direct me to those who are assigned to help me. And so, listen, when I was a kid, I was the one who would say, nobody wants to help me. I don't believe that statement. Oh, I'm unhealed it's 8 billion people on the planet. Hey, man, it's 8 billion people on the planet. Somebody wants to help me. You know what I'm saying? And whatever I'm going through, God did not place me in this world to be alone to go through it. We do better in community. We do better as social creatures, knowing that others are around us who can help us. So I'll say in closing, embrace the idea. Someone is assigned to help me. Now you got to do the work. Because guess what else? Just as much as someone is assigned to help you, someone is assigned to hurt you. He's seeking whom he may devour. It's called the devil. And he'll use anybody. So don't just leave yourself open. You got to do the work. Discernment, study, research.
That's right. Okay. Elder Levette, your closing remarks?
I just say as a young man, you got to have that humility. You got to be taught. We have to teach our men. We have to teach them young about humility and self-control. I think if they're taught from a younger age, and it starts early, even as a boy, you start teaching them humility, start teaching them self-control. Then as they become a man, they'll learn how to handle, because just because you do have humility and because you have self-control don't mean you ain't gonna get angry. But at least give you an avenue, it give you a pathway to not going down that anger road. You can come to that fork in the road and say, I'm gonna take this road of least resistance. I'm gonna take this road to where I can wake up tomorrow and I won't be in the jail cell or in the funeral home. So, I think I think it starts with us as men. For all the men that's listening, it takes us. If you can identify and you see your nephew or your little cousin that has their mom is a single mom, you see them already there at a young age, grab a hold of them, take them under your wing, and show them how to be a man. So that's my closing thought.
Okay. Dick and Dan, your closing thoughts?
Well, I agree with them, but one of the things you got to do, you got to teach them to love themselves. You got to let them know that, everything that is given to them is God give it to them. Even you say, if I got the money to buy it, I might buy it, but God gave me the money to buy it for you. So you got to get them to love themselves and love God, to beat the anger. But also, if they get, like I say, train them up. But I'm going to go over this book right here. Great book, Build Your Best Life. Got a lot of tips in there. And this is by Build Your Best Life by Coach Deborah D. Smith, my lovely wife. And I encourage you, the parents, buy the book. You can get it on Amazon. You could email her, and she'll send you a personal signed copy. But this is a great book. And like I was talking with a couple of the fellow officers I know. So, man, y'all need a book. Y'all need to learn how to use with these young kids out here today. I said, it's not like it used to be. I said, but you got some people, as Coach Miller say, you pray to God, you send somebody to help you. And I think she has been sent by God to help others.
Yeah.
So don't forget it. Build Your Best Life by Deborah D. Smith.
Definitely good stuff. Definitely good stuff. My closing thought is this, and just remember this. Anger is an emotional state that varies, okay? It varies in intensities from mild irritation through intense fury and rage. And we have to remember that everybody is different. Nobody is the same. A lot of people's temperaments are totally different from other people. Some people that you can talk down to, some people that you can't. But just know that if you're in a situation where it's out of hand and it starts getting to a point that it's a rage, get help immediately. Don't try to take it on yourself. And I'm talking mainly to the single moms out there, because we want you to still be safe. We want you to still be living. And for the ones that have two parents or whatever, that's dealing with this, try to talk to them. Fussing, yelling, and screaming is not going to get it. All you're doing is intensifying the anger even more to make it worse. But we're all in here because we want to live, we want to love, and we want to make sure that everybody is safe. And that's the ultimate thing for everybody. So that's my closing thought on it. And, having said that, I want to say thank everyone who tuned in this Saturday for this episode. And I want to thank again Coach Deborah D. Smith for letting me host this show, because it's very important, it's very informative, and it is very, very needed for, the young people out there and parents watching this. You get a lot out of listening to, us, give you, information and things that we're experienced at and that we know. And I just want to say subscribe to her channel. Make sure you leave comments. Make sure you do the same for Coach Pastor Miller, Effective Living. Make sure you do that, subscribe, and we can't wait to see y'all again, on the forthcoming Saturdays. So just stay tuned. We're here. And thank you, and God bless.
Share this video.
Go Commanders.
Yes,
Go
yes.
Commanders.
Commanders.
Go Paul.
Go Cowboys.
We're going to get them Cowboys.
We get Sunday.